left Beirut in 2006, it was not a happy time for me or for Beirut. I mean, I well remember looking out at the airport we flew in on over there, that spit of land, being shelled, bombed, and rocketed. And coming to the realization that, wow, we're not getting out of here. Certainly not the way we came in. Well, it's 2010. I'm back. And this time I hope to get it right.
I'm Anthony Bourdain.
That's right.
I write, I travel, I eat, and I'm hungry for more.
No reservations. Last time I left Beirut, it was a heartbreak. Something I'd feel ashamed of, saddened by, angry about, incomplete. Not the way we expected the show to end, huh? After 2 amazing days of shooting in a city that felt more like Miami Beach than the center of all the things wrong with the world, me and my crew found ourselves in the middle of a war. We spent 8 days watching bombs and rockets fall, holed up in the surreally luxurious confines of the Royale Hotel. Looking down and around as the city, only recently rebuilt after years of civil war, just freed of its Syrian occupiers, was smashed back years. There go our representatives abroad. 2 good days. Then this. Hezbollah supporters drove smack through the middle of a scene, popping off fireworks and firing in the air. They were celebrating the grabbing of 2 Israeli soldiers, and the people with us, no fans of Hezbollah, but Lebanese just the same, shook their heads and told us what would come next. They were right. We went home to our rooms that night to watch the airport we came into rocketed and burned. There was a blockade, roads were being hit, we were stuck. Stuck here. We spent, ludicrously enough, our war mostly by this pool. Me, cameraman Todd Liebler and Jerry Rishis, producers Diane Schutz and Tracy Goodwin. Watching the war. Watching and waiting. Watching as helicopters ferry diplomats and foreign nationals from other countries out to sea and to evacuation points. For this show, for The Return, I tried to get the same crew back together. And we did, except for Tracy, who had bigger things to do. She just delivered her first child, a son. Congratulations, Trace. Well, it looks different because last time we looked out here, there were plumes of smoke coming out over there. And then near the end, we were starting to get them up over the rise there, which was a bad development. Remember, the cell phone signals starting to get like a little weaker and weaker. For me, that was the scariest part. It was if we lose communication with home, you know, then people are going to start bugging out over there.
Yeah.
Which means I'm going to start bugging out
and
over
seeing
here.
the bombs go off. Yeah.
One of the reasons I'm sentimental about this place is because the day we finally bugged out of here, when we went out on that boat, flew home, we landed, my wife was there, she was then my girlfriend, we went right home and made a baby. That was the day that my daughter was conceived.
Was that right?
Immediately upon returning to my apartment.
Life. Wow.
From Beirut.
Listen to that.
Yeah.
So how's it feel to be back, Jer?
It feels a little surreal, as though we're back in these haunted locations.
Right.
I'm looking forward to doing a no reservation show, a real no, as opposed to the last one, which
whatever that was.
Yeah.
You know, my feeling is, I'm really, really happy to be here. This has been like a big bone in my throat, you know, that I haven't been able to swallow. It's like been unfinished business for me, and it feels really good to be here again, you know, and hopefully we'll get it right this time.
Cheers to that.
I wanted to get it right. I wanted to make the show we tried to make back in 2006. So here goes. Beirut. Back in the 60s, it was known as the Paris of the Mediterranean. A lot of different groups, languages, interests, religions, sects, organizations, political factions. A lot of problems. But somehow it seemed for a while to be working. It's a big, beautiful city with a lot going on. Two worlds, sleek, flashy, trendy, and consumeristic. Body-worshipping, well-dressed, chic, glittery. And 10 minutes away, poor. Still bomb-damaged. Hezbollah everywhere. Refugee camps. Christians, Jews, Shiite Muslims, Sunni, Druze, Maronites, Gulf state money flowing in, Syrian agents, tourists, models, nightclub promoters, and DJs, Western entrepreneurs. You hear Arabic, English, French, interchangeably, still. For whatever reason, even with all the problems and all the terrible things that have happened here over the years, I step off the plane in Beirut and I feel strangely, inexplicably comfortable, happy. At home. 4 years ago, this is where it started for us. And this is Joe, who was with us right here when it happened. Joe Kodak is a playwright and director, and he's noticeably more, I don't know, downbeat. Gloomy even since last I saw him.
I remember you were really pessimistic right away. I mean, you said something like they're going to bomb us back 20 years for this. And I was like, no way, man. I mean, who would do that? Well, you were right.
The situation was building up, and there was a lot of tensions, and they just passed the limit. And I knew that going to be a war, you know.
And Hezbollah is more powerful than ever, right?
Definitely, and I think what made them the biggest favor is the Israeli strike. And I wonder somewhere if they're friends somewhere or
I love
whatever.
that. This is something I encounter in this part of the world. The conspiracy theory.
It's almost a constant, this part of the world. Perfectly reasonable people suddenly telling you they believe in the most incredible Oliver Stone-ish octopus explanations of reality. What do you say to that? It ain't true? To which they'd reply, well, you'd have to say that, wouldn't you? You're in on it.
You know, the thing is that I'm into theater, and what you see in the backstage is not what you really see when the actors go on stage. It's something totally different.
Le Chef. Joe took me here last time, just before it all went bad, in fact. And here we are again. Seems only right that we have a do-over. Pick up where we left off, or slightly before. Le Chef is a legendary spot in Beirut, famed for its simple, straightforward, home-style classics. Everybody comes here.
So I decided to come back here, not because it's the best restaurant in town, but pure nostalgia. You know?
It's more like a canteen, but the traditional one, because the food is nice and it looks more like home food.
Right. Cheers.
Some Arak, the Pernod-like, Ouzo-like local tipper.
Good to be back.
And let the food begin. Kibbeh, hummus with pine nuts and ground beef, a velvety eggplant dish with tomatoes, chickpeas, and onion, and this kale-like veggie.
It's taken me 4 years to get back here. Good timing or bad timing? What do you think?
It's just the timing.
Yeah. So did you stay last time?
Yeah.
You stayed through?
Yeah. It was long. It was quite a long, very long month. You have ups and downs, but
Politically better?
better no. Economically, it's quite good. Touristically as well.
Well, that's important. You know, if the economy's getting worse and the politics are getting worse, then it's I mean, there's no hope. Beirut to me seems to be this sort of magical place of indescribable forces that have somehow managed to hold together. You have within yourselves all of these what would otherwise be, and in most other countries, intractable ethnic and religious conflicts. And yet, somehow, we've got this amazing country.
Tony, I think it's this mosaic of people, of cultures. That's the magic of Beirut.
Beirut, at least downtown Beirut, moneyed Beirut, looks much like it did before the war. If anything, more built up, with an eerie influx of Gulf oil money-funded luxury apartment buildings, most of which seem to be empty. That's the thing about Beirut, though. It doesn't seem to make any sense, which is kind of what's cool about it. Tomorrow we head to the beach, a laid-back bar, and another friend who 4 years ago we only briefly got to know before the went down.
The goal was to bomb Lebanon back 20 years or something. And, you know, infrastructure-wise, that pretty much happened.
No reservations.
About 45 minutes north of Beirut, up the Lebanese coast, just over a mountain range to some beautiful beaches which stretch the length of the Lebanese coastline. Young Beirutis make this drive almost every weekend in the summer to chill out, catch some waves at places like this, a beach club called Pierre and Friends. Maybe you remember this guy, Ramsey Short. He's a journalist. His dad is British, his mom Lebanese. Last time I saw him was in 2006, sitting across from me at a late-night shawarma joint as overhead the jets were already beginning to come in low, getting ready to unload on the airport. When we left, he stayed.
Last we saw you, I think, was the night they started to unload on the airport.
Yeah, it was a nerve-wracking time.
So, okay, so you stayed.
I stayed. It was tough.
Why didn't you leave? Weren't your family and friends in England concerned?
Yeah, you know, the scale of it happened so quickly, and I looked around and I could see all the people who couldn't leave. Lots of my Lebanese friends had no recourse to get out of here. Once the roads were blocked to Syria, it felt like a betrayal for me to run away, and it was scary, you know, because I remember we were talking about how everything had started happening in Lebanon. You know, I was editing Time Out, bars, people, life, shops, everything was happening. People were talking about it. It had really reached such a great point of recovery, and then this happened. So it's taken a real long time, and now everything's happening again. But you do live with that risk of anything could happen in Lebanon.
It's such an enchanted and historically important piece of real estate, and yet, man.
Yeah, so much blood has been spilled. Families broken up during the Civil War, and everyone has a story. Anyone you meet will have a story.
As the city rebuilt, Ramsey's been keeping tabs on places like this. A green market where there's a newfound enthusiasm for artisanal and organic, and a real effort towards bringing together different regions and beliefs through a shared appreciation for food and cooking.
Hello, how are you? Bonjour, comment ça va? Very well.
A lot of that stems from this man's efforts, Kamal Bouzawak, who created and runs Souk El Tayeb out of a parking lot in central Beirut.
Mona is from a very small village on the Lebanese border of the south. She makes a wonderful bread, and it's wheat that she grows herself.
Absolutely love it.
Early 5 a.m. breakfast.
It tastes really, really just on the spot, fresh, delicious.